Good morning, my name is Jess Yeaman, and I'll be discussing the placing, cuts, and the class for the senior college market goats. I believe that was class number 8. As a committee, we thought that was a pretty challenging class, certainly some differences in types and kinds to be found there. But as a whole, we thought the most logical thing to do when you walked up to the class was to find the one goat and place him last. This goat's off behind his shoulder. He's the flattest in his rib, and he's the flattest in his rear leg. Correspondingly, when you get up on top of this guy, he's the plainest down his top, has the least muscle and shape. He just looks like he's done today. From there, we'll discuss the goats as we work our way down the stanchion. The goat in 2 is one that's relatively hard to knock a hole in. I think a goat that's pretty complete in his overall build and design. This is an attractive wether that really gets out and moves and handles his feet and legs well. You can come in for close inspection, and this guy has a big rack, a big loin. He's very fresh and expressive, and he carries some of that power down into his outer leg and into his twist. This guy has some shape and some muscle to go along with a lot of balance and look. The 3 goat is one that impresses you when you stand behind him in the stanchion. He's big-ended and he's wide, stifle to stifle. You get off to the side of this guy, he's a little lower fronted. He's a little plainer in his front 1/3 portion of his skeleton. As you set him in motion, probably not one that really trips your trigger in terms of his balance and his eye appeal there. A goat that's a little shorter fronted, a little shorter coupled, doesn't balance up as good as some that we see when set in motion, doesn't hold his skeleton together quite as well. You get on top of this one and handle him. He's quite disappointing actually. For as much shape as he has in his lower leg, this guy doesn't have much tone and definition up high, and he's really starting to wash out over his loin edges. The goat that's in the 4th hole in the stanchion is obviously the heavy muscled, really powerful one. This is a carcass oriented entry here for sure. He's the biggest ended, he's the biggest topped. But that's really where his advantage is in. This guy has some serious structural issues. When you set him in motion, he really wants to get off on his back legs. He really wants to dip in his hip, gets off in his top line. He's not correct in terms of the way he ties his neck into his shoulder. He's not correct in his front legs either. But he definitely has some class advantages in terms of carcass merit. So what we ended up doing was we start the 2 goat, which is the one that's really complete, really good in terms of his handle, and balances up very well. Really, your only true criticism of that guy as compared to others in the class is he's a little steeper out of his hip than is probably ideal. From there, we went with the really heavily muscled 4. Again, this is the carcass-oriented goat that has a ton of shape and a ton of power. He's really massive through his center body, but his skeleton is an absolute wreck. We really need to correct him in a lot of places. But his muscularity and power does keep his spot in the top pair of the class. The goat that comes 3rd today will be number 3. This goat is one that to me just kind of falls out in terms of his handle quality. Again, this is the short fronted one that's a little plainer in his overall build from the side, and again one that gets a little disappointing when you come in for close inspection. Our official placing on the class was 2, 4, 3, 1. With a decent sized cut on top, small in the middle, and big on bottom. Thank you.